Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this productivity guide, we're going to go through a simple 5-step system for organizing all of your business files, well, as much as possible, right? So timestamps below, along with some other helpful videos to getting organized and running your virtual team. Now, the first step is figuring out your major workflows. So for us, we have 4 major workflows across our digital marketing agency. This might be a little different for you, but anywhere from 3 to 5. If you have more than 5, then you're probably getting too granular here. So here are our 4. We have team, we have content, we have sales funnel, and then we have product. So team is all of our internal stuff. Content is creating videos like this one. Sales funnels is anything related to taking someone who's not a customer and turning them into a happy customer. And then number 4, product or service, is making sure they continue to be a happy customer. So we'll go through each one of these and go through actually all of the team drives I use. And now when it comes to Google Drive or whatever file management system you're using, you can go ahead and follow along using team drives, or if you just have a personal one, these are going to be your top level folders, right? So we'll go through each one of these, again, timestamps below. And remember, the whole goal is to have an organization system that works with your workflow, not define your workflow. So don't feel like you're structured into something and you're just forcing yourself to move files to where they're supposed to be, as opposed to supporting your actual workflow. That was a terrible way to say that. Let's go ahead and jump into team. So when it comes to team, even though we have 4 quadrants, we're going to have way more than 4 folders, as you saw. So when it comes to team, we have founder, we have team, which I know is a little repetitive. I'll get to why I do that. And then we have our performance, which is going to be individual employee files. And then we have our controller, everyone's actual favorite, which is accounting. Of course, probably not. So I guess we'd say accounting is number 1, and then organization is number 2 on the top 2 things entrepreneurs don't like doing. So inside of my Google Drive account, we actually set up a separate team drive for each one of these. Now, we could have just as easily had one team drive and then shared individually, but something you'll notice as we go through here is you want to make it really, really hard to mess up who you're sharing files with. So the more you can separate things that are very confidential, the better. So we'll go through each one of these. So the first one we have is founder. So this is going to be everything that you personally need as the founder or co-founder to run your company. And of course, all of the legal documents like articles of organization, any sort of NDAs you have with clients or customers, and all that other really boring legal stuff. So we're just getting the boring stuff out of the way first here. So if someone had to, let's say you're going on vacation and you have this really trusted friend who's going to come in and take over. I don't think any of us have a friend that is that trusted, but let's hypothetically say we did. This would be the folder that has all the information someone would need to run your company. Now, even if you're a 1 or 2 person show right now, you want to have this set up because you're probably thinking about scaling in the future and actually hiring people. So go ahead and set yourself up for success now. As you can see with this screenshot from our founders, of course, I'm blurring some things out. This is where we also have all of our projected cash flows. We do our project management and resource management in here, as well as set up our goals and visions for the company. So this is all the stuff I share with my business partner, and no one else will ever have access to this folder. Now, of course, you're probably going to have some sort of project manager or start growing your team in the future, which means you need internal managers and, more importantly, leaders. So that's where you put all this information. So inside of the team drive, we put all of our internal processes inside here. So when we have an internal process on how to onboard a client, how to offboard a client, how to run reports, or how to properly get ready for posting a YouTube video or doing YouTube keyword research, all of that information is stored here because that's something a project manager would need in order to help us run our internal operations. And as you can see here, we have an individual folder for the content team, for the sales funnel team, and for the product team. And of course, this is the team drive for the team, so we just call it team, right? So anything related to helping someone get up and running with how we want to run our advertising or how to do customer support or client support, all that information is going to be here. And then we can just share whichever subfolder the person needs access to. So if someone joins on our product team, for instance, and they're managing some things with clients, they're just going to get access to the the product or services team folder because they don't need to see everything else under the sun, mostly because it's just super, super overwhelming when you start a job and then they give you like 30,000 files. You go, I don't know which folder I'm supposed to be looking at. So this also makes sure that people don't have access to things that they shouldn't, and they don't get overwhelmed when they join your team. Now, these next two I'm going to go through a little faster because they're just the administrative stuff we all have to deal with. So this next one is going to be our performance. You can call it whatever you want, but we create a separate folder for anyone who's part-time, every other week, once a month, or full-time on our team. And so inside of each one of these folders that are of course all blurred out except for my name there, inside of there we have their time card. So they submit what they worked on over the week and that's how they get paid. And then we also have any sort of contracts as well as something called a growth path where we work with them on new projects and skills that they're working on developing. Now, when it comes to any sort of legal documents you have with your employees or team members, you want to make sure that you have a copy of every single one of them in your founder's drive, because remember, the team member has access to this. So you don't want your only copy of the NDA that they signed inside of this folder. You want a copy for yourself. So sometimes you have two, but that's also nice because sometimes your employees want to review all of the stuff they've signed or agreed to. And hopefully it's never anything where there's an argument, but it's just good to have all of those documents easy for them to see so that there's never any sort of confusion as to, no, really, you actually can't take that information and use it for other clients. So moving on, we have our final one here inside of our team quadrant, and that's going to be everyone's favorite, accounting. So just go ahead and have a separate folder for accounting. We have our accountants have access to this folder, and then that way it makes sure that we never accidentally share financial information with someone else on the team. As an example, the accountant does need access to all this information, whereas our project managers, well, they don't really. So it is important to separate things. This isn't to say that you should distrust every single person on your team, but a lot of team member and employee misbehavior just comes from it being really easy and the opportunity actually presenting itself. So one of the things we do to make sure that this is a really seamless process with our accounting is you can see here collection box receipts. You can use something called Cloud HQ, and this tool will actually connect to your Gmail or your inbox, whatever email client you use, and you can tag all of your invoices and it will automatically save them as PDFs. So now our accountant doesn't have to ask me every other month for where our receipts are. They're just automatically saved to this collection box, and it's a lot more cost effective than some of the services out there that offer to do that for you. So now let's go ahead and talk about something a lot more fun, but not as important as making sure all of your legal stuff and accounting is in the way is squared away, and that's going to be content. So inside of content, this is going to be anything that you're creating for any platform, from your blog to podcasting or whatever social media platform you happen to be posting to. Now, our team drives are a little different because we actually have more than one channel, more than one blog. But if you only have one channel or one blog, then next to swipe file here, you would just have one/content as opposed to the three that we have. So as our example, I'm going to click on Act Marketing here and then go into our content folder. And you can see that we actually only have a YouTube channel, which hopefully we will start posting on again, a whole nother story. So I'll go ahead and click on YouTube here. And now you can see all of the files related to YouTube content creation. So even if you don't want to make a folder for each individual post, go ahead and make sure you have all of the information, posts, graphics, and text for that particular platform in its folder. So it's very easy to find. Now, instead of having our list of all of our content here, we actually break it down into 5 different categories. You don't have to be this OCD. So if I were to click on conversion here, then I could see all of the planned videos we have inside of our conversion content pillar. So if I click on C6 here, which I don't think has actually been posted yet, you can see all of the files related to this specific video here. Now, in the past, I tried doing something called a media library, which you've seen on my main screenshot, and it just wound up being a lot easier to just copy and paste anything that we needed for this specific video into its video folder. And then that way, anyone who's working on future content, they just go, oh, you know what? I remember we did a landing page video and there was a graphic in there that I really liked. And so they would go to that previous post folder like this, as opposed to trying to save everything into a central media library. So just a quick tip there. The media library thing, we thought it would work really well, but it's just easier to have people go back and look through previous post folders. So that does it for content. Now let's go ahead and talk about sales funnel. So this is everything under the sun to getting someone to, I don't know who you are, to I'm a happy customer. Well, maybe they're not happy, but at least they're a customer. We'll talk about products and services to keep them happy, right? And so this can be anything with your advertising, with sending emails, writing landing pages and sales pages, creating video ads for YouTube. So let's go ahead and dive back in here. I'm going to click on Act Marketing again, and then I'm going to click on Sales Funnel. So again, if we go back to this screenshot, if you only have one company and you're not doing something silly like trying to do 3 things at once, don't follow my example here, then you'd go ahead and just have a main team drive folder for all of your sales funnel things. So we'll go ahead and click on Sales Funnel here, and then you can see we have a folder for each one of our different funnels. You could also create a folder for everything that you're doing with Google ads or YouTube ads or Facebook ads or Instagram ads, wherever you're advertising, and of course have a folder for all of your broadcast emails and your email sequences as well. So this is just one way to make sure all of your marketing and sales is in one place and it's easy to find. You can, of course, organize it by advertising platform, or you could organize it by specific funnels. I'm super OCD, so we organize it by specific funnels. Now, this next one is going to be product/service, just depending upon your business. We have both. And so let's go ahead and jump in here. Now, this is another place where you're actually going to want to have more than one team drive, because you want all of your external stuff in one place and you want all your internal stuff in another place, and you never, ever, ever want anyone on your team to accidentally put something here over here, because that is just super awkward, and that's the fastest way to have a happy client going to a not so happy one. And especially if you have confidential information, you don't want that happening. So let's go ahead and jump back into my Google Drive here. So we actually, of course, only have one main business, which is our digital marketing agency. So we have our internal folder, which is Act Marketing, which we've been going through, and you've seen content and sales funnels inside there. And then we have our public one for our products. So I'll go through the internal one first here, and you'll see we have clients, we have products, and then we have services. So for our clients folder, if I were to click on it, you would see a folder, an individual folder for each one of our clients. Then for our products, this is where all of our internal notes are, or internal creation for our digital products. And then services has all of our client templates. So as an example, when someone joins our agency and we're onboarding them, we're sending about the same email. We're asking for the same information, and we have the same questions. So all of those things that deal with making sure we onboard a client or reporting templates, all of those are stored inside of services. So we can copy and paste them to our client folder and then fill them out in our internal drive here for the client, and then we take that file and put it in the shared one. So it leapfrogs from template to internal client folder, then internal client folder to the public one. Why do you go through all those steps? Because you never, ever, ever you just don't want to risk a lawsuit because you gave the wrong client the wrong information and now you're in breach of NDA. So let's go ahead and click on products here, because that is not as a big legal deal as dealing with clients' information. And you can see here, we just have a folder for each one of our digital products, large, small, and everything in between. And if we jump back over to our overview, when I click on the public drive, you'll see can I say that? You'll see some similarly named, no, I can't say that. You'll see some similar folders. I don't know if that's a word. You'll see some similar folders, and these are all the public versions. So as an example here, we have the sales funnel organizer. So when we're working on this template internally, there's an internal version. And then once we're done with all our comments, we're done with the updates, we go ahead and copy and paste it into the public version. And this is the link that is shared with everyone. Now, you're the only person that's going to see this hierarchy because you're only going to share individual files, but you want them inside of a different team drive so you never have something that's supposed to stay internal right next to something that's supposed to be external. And of course, with all this is just how we organize. Hopefully it gave you some ideas and insights as to what you could do for your own business, your own agency, your own digital products. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you have some ideas on how to organize, and this wasn't too overly OCD, because we have got feedback in the past where I just went way too crazy. So hopefully this was actually helpful, gave you some ideas. Hit that like button, subscribe for more organization videos just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.